Well, it's the reason I mentioned the Vayne pick being kind of interesting for CuVee is that out of the 13 champions that he has played in Champions this season.
Yeah, I mean, you also mentioned that Vayne would have a little bit of a rough time. Not too much, you know, walls to really use Condemn into against this Callista. So positionally, Vayne at a disadvantage here as well.
Taking a look at the runes and masteries here, you can see masteries for CuVee. I'm not exactly sure what he has named those, but it's 2190, so fairly standard, no extra mana regen, but you don't necessarily need that on Vayne. He's decided to put 1 point in Warlord as well as points into Spell Weaving and Blade Weaving, so definitely the more common mastery setup, but let's take a look at his rune page. He's got 1.5%, I want to say that's lifesteal, as well as additional armor and AD. But that's kind of a strange rune page to be running. Traditionally, you'd see AD carries with a lot more attack speed. Specifically, he's going to be running a Vayne, but this is actually going to show us OHQ's rune page. And I don't know why he's necessarily foregoing so much attack speed.
Yeah, I'm not too sure if that was indeed lifesteal off of these.
Well, it's 1.5 something, so if he's put 1.5% move speed in his rune page, then I'd be a little bit surprised. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Solo King 1v1 Korean tournament here, featuring all of your favorite players, teams, and champions from this season of Champions on Azubu TV. My name is Rapid, with me is Achilles, and getting in here to game number 2 between CuVee and OHQ. I almost said Ovi and QQ, but QQing only reserved for the loser of this match. Similar to most skill builds, putting 2 points into Q makes you cry a lot. So we'll see if when we get into this game, Callista versus Vayne, AD carry versus top laner, but of course they're both playing AD carries here today. What I was mentioning about Callista is that you can actually use your Spear to soulbind to whoever you want, because it actually doesn't give you any combat effectiveness, and being down an item slot is actually a huge disadvantage. So you can get rid of that Spear if you want to, but at least for right now, I want to see how CuVee plays this matchup, because he is playing Vayne into Callista, already a little bit difficult, and he's starting Doran's Shield and Health Potion versus the Doran's Blade and Health Potion that OHQ has.
Yeah, that's a very interesting decision going with the Doran Shield. He's just trying to mitigate as much as he possibly can off of those auto attacks, as well as get that passive regen in. But I don't know that it's going to help him too much once OHQ starts using Rend to its full potential. The more spears that he stacks in to CuVee, the more damage he's going to deal with that E ability. So it's going to be very just tough, I suppose, for CuVee coming into this matchup.
And keep in mind, there is going to be a little bit of a power spike for Vayne, though. When she hits level 6, not only will she get an ultimate, whereas Callista, well, really won't. Shouldn't see OHQ put any points into that, just because it's actually completely useless. But for CuVee, that will actually represent a lot of, a significant increase in damage if he's able to, maybe get pushed in close enough to his turret that he's able to use that Night Hunter passive, which does get doubled up when you ults, to be able to close the distance here. But the kite ability for OHQ should be more than enough to keep himself away from CuVee and just stay safe and farm it out.
A very fair point. It's going to come down to a lot of positional awareness for the side of CuVee, knowing when he can get a condemn off that's actually going to net him a stun onto OHQ, and then being able to capitalize on top of that. Like you said, probably not going to see too much of that able to happen until he hits that level 6 mark and can abuse his ultimate with the invis that he gets off of the tumble to just kind of, masterfully place himself.
Another difficulty is, though, that, like you were mentioning about the condemn, traditionally, like, you play Vayne in a side lane, you either, go bottom lane as a duo or lane swap top. And the reason that side lane Vayne is much better than mid lane is because you do have that, the wall that's relatively close to you, whereas here in mid lane, CuVee is not going to have any walls other than those minor side lane walls that OQ should never really be in a position to get condemned against anyway.
Yeah, as we can see, CuVee being taken so low, that Ren doing damage. Not able to find that third hit from the Silver Bolts. Would have evened out that trade just a bit more. But
Oh no, CuVee is actually dead here. There's the flash in though, but the Ren to pick up the second kill. OQ with a 2-0 victory over CuVee. We're gonna get a quick instant replay to watch this in action. CuVee tumbling forward. Something that as an AD carry is always somewhat difficult to justify, but with a flashback in immediately afterwards, CuVee for some reason not flashing straight backwards, maybe trying to dodge a Pierce coming his way. It's a 2-0 victory for OQ over CuVee, and that will knock CuVee out of the Solo King tournament and advance OQ